Hey guys, this is Goku, and on this channel we talk about poker and ideas that can improve your life. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and click the subscribe button because I'll be honored to have you here. Today we're gonna jump into yet another GTO Trainer session. We're playing on a Simple GTO Trainer now, and we're playing the spot small blind versus big blind, single raise pots on a 23 big blind stacks. We've played 50 hands already, and you can watch this in the description of this video. You can watch the whole playlist. And now we're gonna play another 25 hands. And here on the Simple GTO Trainer, right now we're just trying out this new tool and seeing if it could be a good one to explore for the future. And we're only playing 100 hands of each, so without further ado, let's jump right into it and let's play another 25 hands. Here on the Simple GTO, we're actually playing, and I guess we could select this this option here. We're actually playing both from the big blind and from the small blind. It's not just one type of spot where we're only playing the big blind versus small blind or the small blind versus big blind. This is just the spot in its entirety, and we're sometimes the big blind and sometimes the small blind. And I guess like you see, we could use this option here to only play the in position player or the out of position player, and these things I don't really know what they do, so let's keep that and let's just play, right? So I've got 10-4 suited on a 10-3 king, and the small blind leads to us. I think this is usually call, sometimes a min raise. Maybe not, it's just a simple call. Min raise is just 0.014% of the strategy. Now on the 3 of diamonds, the small blind checks. And is it a good spot to actually put some pressure on the small blind and bet, or should we rather just check? I think having the equity that we have, we should probably mostly check. And the solver agrees with this. It would bet 1% of the time, and we have a queen of diamonds on the river, and the small blind leads for half pot, and this is obviously a call. And it's actually not that obvious that it's a call. It's a call 44% of the time and fold 55% of the time, which is interesting. The hero actually has pocket kings, which is also interesting, but we see the overall EV loss is almost nothing. So the decision to call here is almost the same as to fold, but we should not be calling here, 100% of time or even 80% of time. We should be calling 44% and folding 56%, and that's a great spot to actually learn something from. Now we've got queen 9 of diamonds on an ace straight deuce. The small blind leads to us, and do we call this or do we fold? I think I would mainly fold here, so I'm gonna do that. But we see the solver is calling 99.6% here. I guess it's it's enough that we have a backdoor flush draw and 2 life cards. Or if the small one doesn't have an ace, I don't know. But it's a small EV loss decision. But perhaps from the game theory point of view, we should not just be giving up this often. But nonetheless, we've got another hand, pocket 8s on a 6 straight 9. We're gonna bet, which the solver does as well. It checks only 8% of the time. There's a 5 of spades on the turn. And I think we continue betting here, and the solver agrees with this line. It bets 99.91% of the time. And there's another 3 on the river, and I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna check call it. We're not gonna shove. Yeah. But we should rather shove, which is interesting. Again, we see that the EV loss is small, although not that small. It's almost -1 BBs. But the solver is shoving here 99.99% of the time. And I wonder why. I would think check call is much better here because we give the big blind the opportunity to bluff with a hand like king, queen suited, which they should do a fair bit of time, I think. And when we're shoving here, we're making all these hands fall. But let's maybe click E here and see this. Oh, it's unfortunate, but we do not see the solver's decision for the villains play on the river, and I would be interested to know it. What's their decision tree after us checking? How often they bluff there with especially their hand, but yeah, we cannot see that. So we go into the next hand where we have 10-5 suited on a 6 deuce 5. A very nice hand. Small blind checks to us. We're obviously gonna bet, even though the solver would actually prefer checking here 61% of the time and betting only 38. But the small blind shoves and we're obviously calling. So yeah, and the small blind shows king 6, but we hit a trip 5s, so that's nice. King 8 on an ace 7-6. Small blind bets 180, but bets a third of the pot to us. And do we call with this hand or do we fold? Again, I would probably mostly just fold a hand like this here. But again, the solver is calling here a lot and even raising. At least it's not an error now to fold it here like it was on this queen 9 suited hand. And I would actually like this hand way more, queen 9 suited on ace trade deuce, than this hand right now, king 8 on an ace 7-6. But yeah, 5-4 on a king 9, that's gotta be a fold, right? Yeah, it is. 10-9 suited on a queen 7-7. I think this is actually a call because we have a gut shot, backdoor flush draw. There's an ace on the turn, and we see actually the solver likes min raising here with the exact hand that we have, and it does that 60% of the time and calls 40% of the time. Now there's an ace on the turn. The small blind checks to us, and I think this is a spot where we need to bet. So we're gonna do just that. And we see betting is should be a third of our strategy, and checking should be about 2/3, which is also a valuable piece of information because I think I'm betting here more often than 33%, like 50%, maybe even more. So this is good to know. And now on the river, the small blind shoves. And what do we do with our 10-9 here? Do we call this or do we fold? I think sometimes we call here, but majority we fold. And even the solver says that we should fold 100% of the time. And I would think like, I don't know, 5-10% it's calling here. But yeah, what would the villain have here that he's bluffing with? A hand like ours, I guess. And there's not a lot of these. So yeah, makes sense to fold 100% here. King 5 of hearts on an 8-6-6 with 2 hearts. Small blind checks, we're gonna bet. Solver is checking here 36% of the time, but the villain folds. Now we've got aces on 6 deuce 5 with 2 hearts. I think we're gonna bet here. 7 of hearts on the turn. We're gonna continue betting. Solver agrees with this line, but the villain folds. Queen 8 off on a Jack 5 ace. Small blind bets for a third of the pot. And with Queen 8, we're folding, right? Yeah. We are in 10-3 of diamonds on a King 4-4. Again, I would I call here? Yeah, I just want to fold, but I think based on the last hand, this is more likely a call. No, I'm just gonna fold again. But I was thinking about that min raising. So min raising here is the right strategy. A call is just 1%. Fold is 58%, and min raise is 40%. And that actually makes sense for me. Yeah. King 8 suited on a Queen 7 tray. The small blind bleeds. And we're gonna try and min raise it now, which is the wrong play. And now we should rather lean towards calling. The solver is not picking this hand for a min raise. It just likes to call with it 100% of the time. Okay, 9-6 of diamonds on a Queen 9 king. Small blind checks to us. And I think that's a hand we check a lot of the time. And yeah, the solver is checking with this hand 99.99. There's a 3 of hearts on the turn. Should we now bet, or should we check again? I think this is perhaps a spot where it's good to bet to protect our pair of nines, but the solver disagrees. It's a minus 0.060 EV loss, and the solver is just always checking here, checking behind, which is good to know. Now we have ace-7 with an ace of hearts on a King 6-5. Small blind checks. I think we're gonna bet here. Solver is doing 38% of checking here as well. And now on the 9 of diamonds, the small blind checks once again. We're gonna continue betting because we've picked up a gut shot to go with our flush draw. And the solver likes this line. It's pretty much only betting half pot here. And now there's the 5 of diamonds on the river. Small blind checks to us. And do we shove here? Do we check behind? I think we mostly shove here. Yeah, I don't see really any other way here than to shove. But the solver is actually checking behind always, right? It's only shoving 0.5% of the time. We see the overall EV loss is small, just 0.07047. So it's an okay decision to shove it here. But we see the solver is not doing that almost at all, which is interesting. And the 6-5, and we get called by 6-5 actually. And I wonder what happens if I click here evol. Okay. So yeah, I wish it showed us a little bit more information than this. But yeah, that's all we get. So let's go to the next hand. Queen 10 off on an ace-5 tray. The solver, the small blind goes for a third pot bet. We're gonna call here with Queen 10. We see the solver is doing 18% of folding here and 2.6% of min raising. We hit the queen on the turn. A small blind checks to us. We're gonna check behind to keep the pot small. Solver likes this line, and there's an ace on the river. Small blind checks to us. I think we should bet for a little value here, bet half pot. And the solver actually likes pushing all in here a lot, and does that 63% of the time, and is only the rest of the strategy is betting half pot 37% of the time, but the villain folds nonetheless. Queen 10 off on an ace 5 tray. We're gonna bet here. We get min raised. I think we're gonna call here, but we should rather be folding 94% of the time, which is quite surprising. We're gonna check now on the turn, 3 of clubs. You know, it's even more surprising. The solver is leading here 40% of the time. But now that we checked and the small blind and the big blind bets, we're just gonna fold. Yep. King deuce of diamonds on a queen 7-4. Small blind checks. I think this is one of the hands where we check, and it's actually not one of the hands that we check with. We should bet here with 94% of the time and check only 6%. But the small blind checks again. There's a 6 of diamonds on the turn. I think since we didn't bet last street, we should do it now. And now actually the solver prefers checking, and is betting a third of the pot only 18% of the time. There's a 9 of spades on the river. And what do we do with our king deuce of diamonds? I think we have to bet half pot here or ship it. Or give up on the hand. I'm just thinking about this. I think this is kind of a hand where we just give up on the hand, right? It's not. This is actually an example where we shove almost always, 92% of the time. We give up 3% and we bet half pot 5%. So king deuce here is actually a hand where we ship it on a board like this. So I guess king high is not enough to check it down. Which is surprising because we got lots of low cards. But okay, 4-3 of clubs on an ace queen jack. We fold obviously to a bet. King 10 off on a jack tray. We're gonna bet it. The solver likes this line. 10 of diamonds on the turn. We're gonna check now. Again, solver likes this line. And on the 9 of clubs, I think we're gonna go check call. And the solver does not like this line. And the solver is betting half pot here pretty much 100% of the time. Again, the overall EV loss is small for checking, but it's good to think about why the solver is doing such an action instead of other ones. So I assume this is to extract some value. We can probably get some calls by weaker 10s or 9s or maybe pocket pairs, maybe ace highs even. And if we check, a lot of these hands are checking behind, and the big blind probably does not have a lot of bluffs that they would bluff with on the river, and thus check calling is worse than just leading for half pot. I guess that's the justification for why it's just leading 100% of the time better. Small blind checks on ace 8-5 all hearts. We have a jack 10. I don't know if that's a check or bet 1.8. I think this is bet 1.8, but it's 70% check. And now on the 7 of hearts, we're just gonna check it. And we're just gonna Are we calling this here or are we folding? I think I would just fold here. But the solver is actually calling 99% of the time. Again, as you can see, the overall EV loss is insignificant. But a spot like that, yeah, we should be calling almost always or always. King 9 off on a 9-8 ace. We're gonna bet. Solver is doing the same, but the villain folded. Queen Jack 4. We have 8-6 of spades. We're gonna bet it. Solver agrees. Now there's a 3 of diamonds. Yeah, we're gonna check it. On the queen on the river. Are we going to take a stab at this? I think we do have to take a stab at this. Yeah, 98% of the time. And the villain folds 9-8 off. Or suited, I don't know. Queen 9 off on a 6 straight deuce. We're gonna bet. Solver is checking here 35% of the time. Ace on the turn is a good card to continue with the aggression. Villain calls once again. And what do we do on the 7 of spades? On the river. Do we give up or do we ship it? Again, I don't see a good way out of this. But we do have to have some hands that we fold, right? Cannot just get into these spots always and ship 100% of the time. We do have to fold. And I think a hand like Queen 9, we perhaps give up here a lot of the time. And we give it up 27% of the time here. And we ship it 73%. So you can see the EV loss is almost insignificant. And once the small blind, the big blind ships it, we're obviously folding 100%. And we see the solver hitting flush with King 4 of spades. The big blind, I mean. Now we have Jack 10 on a King 5-4. Small blind checks to us. We're gonna bet at this. We get min raised. Do we call with King Jack with Jack 10 or do we fold? I think we can fold it easily 60% of the time. Call 31%. Min raise it 9% of the time. Cool. Now we have ace 10 on a jack 8-10 with 2 hearts. We're gonna bet it. Solver does 60% of checking here. King of diamonds on the turn. Now we're gonna check. And there's another 10 on the river. So we're gonna bet half pot. And we get called by King Jack, so that's cool. All right, we've played our 25 hands for the day. Just minus 3.65 BBs of EV loss, so really nice result. We pretty much only had slight differences in EV loss, so that's a good information. We checked or called significantly less than the GTO and we folded more often. And we bet a little bit more often as well. But I think this was a nice session. And if we go to sessions and maybe look at the graph, if we go regular, yeah, we can see that our overall EV loss, maybe without counting this other session, yeah, like here, Our overall EV loss after 75 hands is at something like minus 13 BBs. So yeah, so that's looking very nice. And next up, we're gonna play our last 25 hands, and then we will wrap up this spot and select a new one. So if you have any suggestions what I should pick next, let me know, and I'll be happy to do that. I think I already had someone mention a spot in the previous video. I don't remember which one that was, but yeah, let me know. I will pick up whatever you guys think is best, and if there's going to be more people wanting a different spot, then I can certainly pick a different spot. Yeah, appreciate you watching up until this point. If you've been here so long, just leave a comment, write GTO, or ask any question you might have. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.